Okay, y'all. Did you know that the lottery is tied into the calendar date? Yes. So in this video, I'm going to share with you one of my basic go-to strategies when I'm playing pick 4 and pick 3. And I call it the calendar date because the way that I've arrived and just picked up along the way is how each date is tied to the lottery numbers that's falling. Now, in this video, I'm primarily speaking on Texas. I'm emphasis on Texas, but I want you to also know that the calendar is a calendar everywhere. So you also have to know that this strategy is going to be able to apply to any state. But in this video, we're going to be covering Texas. And so let's just start out with October. This is October. Today is October 31st. So I figured, well, let's just kind of look back and see what happened. So let's take the first group of numbers. And the way that you come into getting to your calendar date is you're just grabbing the first 3 digits that's vertical on the calendar. I mean, it's kind of that simple. Now, in lottery math, we always only take the ones place, the last digit. So on the 1st, on the 8th, and on the 15th, what you have is 185. So that's going to be our first group of numbers. Now, we also know that the lottery ain't crazy and not going to just keep dropping 185 on the 1st, 8th, and the 5th. Yes, we know that and they know that. So what happens is anytime we come up with these 3 numbers off the calendar, you also have to know that these numbers can be turned and flipped around 8 different ways. So you have to keep that in account. So even though you may not physically see 185 show up on the calendar that day, you can also see it come up as 531. You can see it as 586. You can see it as 536, 810, 130, 860, 360. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 8 ways that 185 is going to show up on these days. And I guess one way to explain how they went from 185 and was able to get 7 more numbers is basically it's just the mirror numbers. And the mirror number basically what it's saying is in lottery math, we really only have 4, let's see, 0 through 4 is our primary numbers. And so then when you're adding 5, those numbers, which is the flip side of it or the back side of it, or however you want to explain it, those numbers are equivalent. There's just a mirror. On one side, it's a 0, on the back side, it's a 5. So you will notice that a 185, a 5 can turn into a 0. So now you got 810. So this is how we end up with our 8 digits. So when you are selecting whatever numbers you're selecting for that day, keep in mind that in order to make sure you have your bases covered, you're going to be choosing 8 digits at a time. So this is the first set of numbers that basically we're looking for. However, again, they have to make things difficult. So then at that point, what you do is you're going to also add, we're going to add 1, and then we're going to subtract 1. And that way we're able to cover our bases. It's going to be a spread of numbers that on these days, the 1st, the 8th, and the 15th, these are the numbers that you're going to focus on in order to catch you a pretty good simple hit. So let's just break it down so you'll understand. These group of numbers are going to be the same every month. They're not going to change. So if we say we're going to add 1, then we're going to subtract 1. So let's just break that down so we can get our numbers. So 1 plus 1 is 2. So you have a 2. 8 plus 1 is 9. 5 plus 1 is 6. 1 minus 1 is 0. 8 minus 1, 7. And then 5 minus 1 is 4. And also, I want you to note that anytime you see a 1, it can also turn into a 0 and a 9. So right here, this 1, even though it went down to 0, you can also see it show up as a 9. So we have a 285. We have 195. We have 186, 985, 085, 175, and 184. So here you have your power team, is what I call it. So the same principle applies to your little power team over here, to where you're not only going to have to play 285, but you're going to have to play the little 8 posses that follow and come along with that 285, because it's going to show up, but it comes, and you have to understand that it's coming. It may not come as 285, but it's coming with its mirror numbers as well. So now we have a whole power. We'll call this our power team. So now we have a whole power team. Your plain numbers is just your numbers that's they plain. They don't match. You have 285 in this posse can come, 195, 985, 175, or 184. And just as a special little tip I want to draw your attention to, when you get into your mirror pairs and your doubles, and the mirror pair meaning that a 1-6 is a mirror pair. So the 168 is due that day. The 085, a mirror pair, is due that day. So these two numbers are the numbers that we would play. But again, we also have to play the mirrors that come along with it. So on this day, I would be playing 816, 811, 866, 316, 311, and 366. So if I wanted to put together a good little strategy to where I'm focusing and I'm waiting on these numbers to drop, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to load up on these numbers on those days because the systems is calling for it. And also, if you like me, I really love doubles. What happens is on this day, you're going to be looking for running your 1-6, your 1-1, or your 6-6. So on the 1st, the 8th, and the 15th, you would be running your 6-6, your 1-1, or your 1-6. And when I say run it, what I mean is you just have to run the line, meaning that if it's 0, if we have 0 to 9, we have 10 numbers. So to cover your bases, then you're running that whole line. But then I would put more money and more emphasis on these numbers. And we'll go back and just review and see what happened October the 1st, the 8th, and the 15th, and just see how this system applies. Okay, I'll be right back. So now we're back. Now, one of my favorite websites to go to just to verify the numbers and be able to see all the numbers is called lotterypost.com. And when I come here, I'm able to look at all the drawings in all the states. So you just go onto the results tab. And when you pick on the results tab, you're able to pick the state. And again, where we got our focus on Texas. So I'll pick up Texas, and let's just start out with pick 3 first. So let's go to the pick 3 calendar. And we're in October. So let's just scroll down to October. And here we go, October. So we're going to focus on October the 1st through the 15th. And let's just verify and see if any of our numbers showed up. So these are the numbers that we're going to be looking for. And let's just verify and see what happened. Okay, so October the 1st, we got 891. And let's just see if we had 891 on our list. And there it is. So 184 is 891. And I think probably what would really have helped you guys is if I was able to give you the actual lineup on each one of the numbers, on each one of the digits. And that would really help you be able to see exactly to identify the numbers. So the 891 that showed up is the 184 on our list, and that 4 is a 9. We got a 007, and when we were focusing on, we said that we run the 16 on that day, and we run the 05 on that day. Now, even though we were to run the 0500, we were going to focus on the 085 to show up. But what happened is on October the 1st, the 007 showed up. So far on the 1st, we got a 891 hit, we got a 007 hit, and we got a 302. Do we have 302? Bingo. So 285 is the 302. So that's the third hit. And then the last drawing, we have a 281. Do we have a 281 that day? No, we didn't. So on October the 1st, just following the calendar day, because this is what the system is calling for, and this is our whole power team. Out of that power team on that day, October the 1st, we got we got 3 hits. Okay. So now let's go down to October the 8th. On October the 8th, they called 731, and they just repeated that number. Then we had a 135. Bingo. So on the 8th, we got 135. And you guys remember what I said about this team and about this little posse that follow each other. There it is. So the 185 on the calendar day, they actually dropped the calendar day that day, and they brought it as the 135. Then on the evening, they dropped 616. Bingo. And you guys remember what I said. If you want to put together a good strategy on that day and you just laying and waiting on them to bring you your hit, you would have ran your 6-6, your 1-1, and your 1-6, and that 6-1-6 would have just lined right on up and paid you exactly what you wagered that day. But on the night, they got a 999. Now, we didn't have our eyes and our radar out for 999, but no worries. We got strategies for that too. But just to say that they did call that 999, we didn't have our eyes on it, but we do have other strategies to look forward to that. And last but not least, on the 15th. So let's go over and see what happened on the 15th. Y'all look at this 182. So for 3 weeks in a row, they dropped the 182, the 731, and the 182. Y'all, that's the same number. Y'all have to remember when I say there's 8 that travel together, those are the same numbers. Now, we wasn't looking for the 182 again, but they repeated it. And Texas do a lot of repeats. Now they dropped 772. We didn't have that on our radar. We were on that day, we're looking for 6s and 5s. And then they dropped the 912, and that wasn't on our radar. And then they dropped the 862 again. So on the 15th, it was a no-go. But if you look back, you will see on the 1st and the 8th, there was some good hits. In the 15th, all they were doing was repeats. So, well, there you have it. That's the calendar day strategy, one strategy that I would highly recommend you taking out the time to get to know and get to learn and come up on you some good hits. And we will come back on our next video and I'll show you some more strategies. So thanks for hanging out with your girl. Bye.